Without further ado, I would like to introduce one of the native sons of this parish, born and raised here in Sugar Camp, Justin Pitlik.
Thank you, ma'am. Is this thing on? Okay. Well, I am embarking on a speaking journey, and this is my first one. So if this doesn't go well, I'll just find something else to do. We'll see how it goes. So like Pam said, my name is Justin Pitlik. I was born and raised here in Sugar Camp, and started my life here. Everybody knows each other around here, and just had a really, really good childhood growing up. But I'll tell you a little bit about who I am today. I own a company called Pitlik Entertainment. I founded it just a couple of years ago, but it's an entertainment company, and we do weddings and birthday parties and bat mitzvahs, you name it. Any reason to celebrate, we get to do it. So super, super blessed in that regard, what I get to do. So, but why I'm sharing my story is the gap in faith that I had. And when I was the lost sheep, and I think at some point in our lives, we're all the lost sheep, and Jesus comes for us. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So there was a gap in my faith for about 25 years, but when I don't remember obviously how old I was when I was baptized, but I was baptized here. My first communion was here, and confirmation and everything through St. Kunigunda. And I went to a retreat. My brother Jonathan went to that same retreat, Park Falls, if you remember, John. And it was my first encounter with Jesus. It was absolutely incredible. I just had some very, very fond memories, except for we weren't able to shower or clean up for like 3 days, so that part wasn't fun. But we would go downstairs and pray, and we would all kind of sway in a circle, and we would sing hymns and just pray together. And I just remember at that age, I was 16 years old, and I'm thinking, man, this is really what God is like. This is all good. This is all happiness. This is all peace. And it was just amazing. And I remember facing some persecution when I got back from that. I had some friends who I was hanging out with, and they're like, oh, you found God now, so you have it all figured out, of course. And that's just like Jesus said, if the world hates you, it hated me first, So I definitely kind of pulled away after that. I followed the footsteps of my friends and was just trying to figure it out from there. So I graduated high school, went on to, actually I'm gonna back up for a second, excuse me. I was going to church with Mom. She would always bring us here to Mass Saturday nights, and the Devereaux would sing. If you guys remember the Devereaux, they're amazing. And just such fond memories as well. But after I graduated high school, that's when things really started to take a turn, and I was just trying to figure out who I was. I was on this journey of trying to figure out how I could become famous as a drummer, a singer, and I had these grandiose visions of me being rich and famous, and just this selfish journey of fame. And so I was just playing in bands, doing what I could do, and I just kind of put myself up on this pedestal, and I thought, well, I deserve to be famous. I'm very talented. I'm this, I'm that, and all these selfish things. And obviously when we're thinking like that's where that pride comes from, and pride never comes from the Lord. It's the first original sin. It's horrible. And I was just on this journey, and I was working certain jobs. I was at one job in particular, and I was now 22 years old at this point, and was just trying to figure some things out. And I went through an extremely difficult time trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I knew something was off. I was unable to sleep at night, and I remember I walked upstairs and my dad said to me, Duddy, you're gonna be a zombie if you don't get any sleep. And I said, I don't know, Dad, I just can't sleep. So something was going on. It was when I was 22. And I was up for about 3 days straight, and I just was unable to focus. It was getting harder and harder to focus, and obviously the lack of sleep is just can do terrible things. So at that point, I attempted some self-harm. Didn't really know why or what was going on. I just felt a ton of fear. I was scared and I was alone. And I remember my mom walked up to me. It was a summer day, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Mom, I just want to go to heaven." And those words came out because I just felt like I was living in hell. And so she rushed me to the hospital. I was admitted there. It was quite the journey, and some heavy psychiatric testing, and then I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And that was devastating. It's absolutely devastating to hear that diagnosis, saying something's wrong with me. So then, of course, I was living with a ton of shame. It was really hard. I was afraid to talk to people. I felt less than. I felt like I just didn't have any worth. My self-worth had went down. And then, so at this point, I'm completely lost, like the lost sheep. I'm gonna keep going back to that. And as time went on, I started figuring some things back out and got back behind the music and got back to working and got back to the daily grind. But I didn't quite know what my purpose was yet. I still felt like there was no purpose for me. And it was just something I was just fighting things inside of my head. And I just couldn't figure anything out. So then I moved out to California. I figured, okay, well, I'll move out there. I'll become a famous drummer, and then I'll have it all figured out, and then I'll be rich. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's it. That's what my life's gonna be. I was always, I was in control of my own destiny. You can do it. All these things that keep us away from God. Those were the things that I was thinking and that I was told. These worldly things that would make me feel better. So I lived in California. I struggled there. Had some incredible experiences, and I just realized that wasn't it either. So then I came back home, got back to working another job again, and thought, okay, this is it. I'm happy. This has got to be it. Now I'm back at home. I tried living somewhere else. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, we think our happiness lies somewhere on the other side. And we're lying to ourselves when we say that, because it was the state of mind and where I thought I was just not in the right place. But so the year of 2013 came around, and at this point, 32, and my dad passed away, John Pitlik, God rest his soul. And he had a massive heart attack, and 6 months before that, I lost my brother-in-law, who ended up taking his own life. And then a few months after that, one of my best friends took his own life too, who I played in the band with for many years. And that was the year of 2014. It was probably the hardest year I've ever had in my life. It was devastating, and I'm just really went downhill. And that summer, I was back in the hospital again. And I didn't know what was wrong. I was sad, lonely, trying to grieve, trying to figure out my feelings, just trying to process everything and understanding what's the point of anything if someone you love just dies and that's it, and then where do you go from there? It was really tough, and then something incredible happened a couple months after my dad had passed. I got this opportunity of a lifetime to become a drummer for a touring national rock band, and so I tried out for it and got accepted. And I'm like, okay, now this is it. this is what's gonna make me happy. Finally, I found it. Okay. So I went on tour with the band, and we toured the eastern part of the country in a short period of about 3 weeks, and man, it was incredible, but very difficult at the same time. I was still grieving the loss of my dad and trying to figure out how I was feeling about everything, and I still wasn't feeling satisfied, even though I thought my dreams had come true. I'm this famous drummer, all these wonderful things have happened. And I'm like, just something's missing. And then the tour ended, and then 2014, just after that, was really rough, and I was hospitalized about 6 times that summer, in and out, medications, heavy medications, adjustments. Everybody in the family was, what's going on with Justin? We don't know. It was difficult, and for all of us. But then eventually, as things progress, things started to get a little bit better. 2015 is when I decided to go full time with my DJ business. Got some encouraging talks from people in the family, and they said, yeah, you can do it, you can go on your own. And I'm like, this is awesome. Okay, so I'm running my own DJ business, and I got it figured out. This is what it's gonna be. And still was just lacking something, missing something in my life. I was still lost. And I thought maybe it would make me happy, writing music, DJing, drumming in a band, maybe a cute girlfriend. It was vain, and it was self-seeking. And then you go up to the year of 2022, and I was back in the hospital again. And you can't say when you're in pain at one point versus another point which one's worse, but it was tough. Back in the hospital again, and just felt the heaviness of depression, the heaviness of feeling like I'm the victim, and it was just lost. And then 2023 rolled around, and I remember I was DJing high school dance, and I was like, here we go again. I think I'm gonna be probably hospitalized. Something's gonna be wrong. I just felt like something was off. Something was not ticking in me, and I called family members. They know about that. And I remember Sunday morning I woke up after I played for that high school dance, and it was the day where I felt like this might be it for me. I don't know. I can't take a step forward. I cannot take a step forward. My heart was broken with a relationship that I was involved in, which was not a good relationship. It was a very toxic situation. And I just felt like I truly couldn't take it anymore. And I called my friend Nate, who is a devout Catholic. And he's like, Justin, I told Nate everything. He's my friend down in Indiana, and he knows everything about me. And he's so far away, he can't see me and be annoyed by me when we're hanging out in person, so that's why we're best friends. Works out really well. But no, he called me out that day. I called him for advice, and I was crying, and I said, Nate, I don't know what else to do. I said, I don't know who I believe in. Is God real? Is hell real? Is heaven real? What's real? I just don't know anymore. And Nate said to me, he said, Justin. I said, what? He said, your soul is dead. You need to go to confession. And I'm like, confession? What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. Like, it's not my fault. None of this is my fault. He's he's like, the relationship you're in, you told me details, you told me certain things. He's like, Justin, I'd never be one to judge you, but you need to go to confession. Trust me. So I went down to my local parish, which, by the way, I live in Mosinee, Croninwetter area, and I went to St. Paul Parish, and I walked in the door, and I talked to Lois at the rectory, and she said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I'm looking for Father. I didn't even know what his name was. And she said, Father Becker? And I said, yeah. And I just looked at her and I just said, I'm going through a really hard time right now. I don't even know how, like, it just came out. I was crying for help. And Father and I sat down in the rectory and we had a discussion that changed the rest of my life. It was not easy, but I was telling him about all these things that I've worked for and that I've attained. I have this light up dance floor, I have photo booths, I have DJs that work for me, and Father just stopped me in my tracks and he's like, Justin, you keep saying me, I. He's like, did you ever realize that all these things are through God? And I said, what? He's like, everything good in this world is through God. The only thing we're capable of on our own is sin without God. And I just looked at him and I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that. I just, I thought about it. I chewed on it for a while. And it was, it was transforming. And I was on the phone with my mom also that day. And that's when she said to me, and I'm going to read something from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, verse 4. What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one which is lost until he finds it? And so Mom said to me on the phone, she said, Justin, you're the lost sheep and Jesus is gonna find you. And I dropped to my knees in my apartment and I surrendered my life to the Lord. I fell to my knees and I cried. I don't know, I don't even, it was just incredible. And I said, Jesus, I could feel the Lord's presence. And this is what I've been searching for my entire life, was that perfect love. Because we don't get perfect love from anything else but the Lord. The Lord is perfect. Nothing on earth is perfect except for the Lord. And when you can truly receive the love that he gives us, because he gives us unconditional love. And a lot of times we don't understand that. You know, relationships that we have, I've had faulted relationships with people, and I've always been looking for that perfect love, but I found that with Jesus. So I said, okay, it's time to go to confession. I asked Father, I said, I haven't done this in years. I was a cradle Catholic, but I said, I think it's time to have confession, so can we do that? Father said, of course. So I got down on my knees in the rectory, and he put the thing around his neck, and he listened to me. And I cannot believe some of the things that came out of my mouth, the things that I've done, the sinner that I was and still am. We're all sinners, but I just poured out the evil, dark things that I broke 8 of the 10 commandments. 8. And I cried so hard, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying this, that this happened, and that I did this. And after I cried, just on my knees, just so hard I couldn't even talk. And he said the prayer over me, and he put his arm on my shoulder, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "You're forgiven, man, go in peace." I was like, what? That's it? Go in peace. He's like, you're forgiven. And I walked out of the rectory and I felt about 100 pounds lighter. And then I'm like, all right, the Catholic Church is where it's at. This is what I've been looking for my whole life. And my mom, who I was so very, very close with, kept her Catholic faith her whole life too. And she brought me back to it. And it brings me to today where I'm at. And of course I still struggle. Of course I still have hard days. We all do. We all struggle. We all have that loneliness. We're all longing for something bigger. We're longing for something that we can never get fully satisfied. And the only thing that can fully satisfy us is Jesus Christ. It's the only true, full satisfaction that we can ever get. And so I read a book by Chris Stefanik, devout Catholic, and he taught me a prayer, and I printed it out, and I put it on above my door in my bedroom by the crucifix. And it says, Lord Jesus, you are the love that I was born to find. You are here offering me your heart and asking for mine in return. You have given me the freedom to say no. I use my freedom to say yes. I surrender all I am to you. I renounce Satan, sin, the spirit of despair, and the lie that I am unlovable. I forgive others and I forgive myself my worst sin. And I ask you to forgive me and to forgive those who have hurt me. You are Lord of the universe. Be Lord of my heart. I say yes to you. And I pray that every single day. I have done that since 2023. I get down on my knees and I say that prayer and I kiss the floor and I say, I will serve, Lord. I will serve others and I will serve you. That is my goal. And it has been, you guys, it's been transforming. It's given me the power to walk through trials and storms that I never thought I could get through. You know, this world is chaotic. There's always something going on. There's distraction everywhere. But peace is right there in the middle of it too. And peace is clinging on to our Lord Jesus. That's peace in the midst of chaos. So a couple things happen with God's faithfulness to me. You know, as many devout Catholics will know, our goal is to become a saint. Saint, put your name after this. Like Chris Stefanik says, Saint, put your name after this. Go set the world on fire. That's what you're supposed to do with the Lord's love. Go set the world on fire. So I said, yes, I want to be St. Justin someday. And there is a St. Justin Martyr, if any of you have ever heard of him. He was wonderful. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. It's not about being remembered after I die. It's about what I can do for others while I'm here and what I can do to bring others closer to the Lord. Because where we're all going after this is a lot longer than while we're here right now. And the kingdom of heaven, it's here, everybody. It's here on earth too. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Like in the Our Father prayer, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. My Uncle Frank taught me that one. He said, you can have heaven right now. It's here, Justin. It's everywhere. And if you look for God, he's all over the place. He's literally everywhere. You can see him in everything. His beauty is reflected everywhere. The joy. And that's, to me, is spreading the gospel. It's just unbelievable. So, a couple stories, you know, and I could say them, and you may believe or not. And that's, I guess, my friend Pam over here told me that saints have told stories, and people have thought they're a little wacky. And like, okay, it's probably not. It's probably just in your head. But one day I decided to just be as unselfish as possible and make the day about everybody that I encounter. Every single person that I run into, I don't want to talk about me or any of my problems. I want to hear about theirs and how can I bless them and help them. I just felt the Lord's presence pull me in that day. It was an incredible day. And every person I encountered, I just spread the love of the Lord, and I just listened to what they had to say. And I tried to be as unselfish as possible because I'm a pretty selfish guy. I could do way better, but I think a lot of us have that selfishness, you know. We want to be noticed, we want to be recognized, we want to share the stories, we want to be heard. But then I prayed the litany of humility, and it's like, wow, that prayer is hard. I don't know if you guys know that one. That's a tough prayer. So I was practicing humility, which is one of the most sought after virtues in the church. And I got home at the end of the night, and it was just the most joyous day. And I got home and there was chalk all over the sidewalk of my apartment complex, and there were kids playing, and there was just, I could hear the birds chirping. And then I walk around the corner, and it was just getting dark out, and my porch light was flashing on and off. And it's never done that in 8 years of living there. Okay, it was flashing like this. So I called Pam. I said, Pam, you will not believe this. Well, you might, Pam, but nobody else will. And I just, I don't know, I was so excited. I took a video of it and I shared it on Facebook, and then everybody thought there was something wrong with me, which, to be fair, I was a little overly excited. Sometimes however, it was just incredible. I felt the Lord talking to me. I feel like what the Lord was saying to me through that light flickering was, good job, Justin. You did what you were supposed to do today. Nice work. And that's what I felt. And so that's what matters, because that's truly, I still believe that today. That's exactly how I felt when I saw that porch light flashing. The Lord was saying, this is what you made me proud today. You made me proud. So.
Yes, it was in Morse code.
It was in Morse code. Yeah. Oh, I don't know Morse code, but it was just doing that. So. Another story was with one of my good friends, Paul. And he's seen a lot of my ups and downs and hospital experiences and things like that. And it was just one of those days. It was, I was feeling just close to the Lord again. I don't know, you know, that's what the Lord does. He draws us in. And I always pray to get closer to the Lord every day. But like Father Becker told me, our relationship with the Lord is never just like this. We're either getting drawn in or we're getting pulled away. It never stays where it is. And that particular day when I was with my friend Paul, I felt like I was just being drawn so close to the Lord. And the joy that I had with my buddy, he's a fellow DJ, and we have a lot of history, and we had the most joyous day and the most amazing conversations. We were sitting at a bar getting a burger and a beer, and this song that came on the jukebox was a song that was played right before I went into the hospital the very first time when I was 22 years old, on that day. And Paul looks at me, he didn't know that, and he looks at me, he said, isn't this one of your favorite songs? And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, this song by Crossfade, is that one of your, it's Colors by Crossfade, isn't that one of your favorites? I'm like, how did you know that? He's like, I thought you said something about that, I don't know. And we just had this amazing conversation. We were laughing, it was so joyous. And we go back to his house, and I was thinking of my dad. And I'm like, Dad, I know you're in heaven, I miss you, and today I'm feeling close to the Lord, so maybe could you give me a sign? Could you give me a sign? So, my friend Paul is a big fan of birds. There we go. Hey, it's okay. What's your name? Where are you from? There's someone's phone that goes off in our church parish during every mass too, and everybody just gets used to it at that point, so it's okay. But Paul is obsessed with birds, so he's obsessed with birds. And as most of you know, cardinal, beautiful cardinal is my favorite bird. Probably many people, it represents love and a sign of a loved one. And so we go back to Paul's house, and I get out of the van, and I just felt like heaven, the kingdom of heaven, was at hand that day. I was standing there, and I could hear birds, and I could just hear the wind, just the breeze going. Everything just was so peaceful. It was just peaceful. And I looked at Paul, and he goes, "Do you know what kind of bird that is?" And he made the noise because he knows his birds. He said, "That's a cardinal." So there was a cardinal, and this was literally right after I asked if I could talk to Dad. "Dad, are you okay?" Within 2 minutes, Paul said, "Do you hear that cardinal?" And it's just a day. Nothing crazy happened that day, but it is a day that I will remember until the day that I die. It may be a day that bears fruit in eternity someday. As we pray in the litany and trust, Jesus, I trust in you that my life united to yours, my suffering united to yours, will bear fruit in this life and the next. That's my favorite part of that prayer. Because everything we do here on earth will be attached to eternity too, from what I've taught. And I just felt like I was getting a glimpse of heaven that day. And also, I don't know if it was St. Therese of Lisieux. One of the saints said this: all the way to heaven is heaven. All the way to heaven is heaven. We think, oh, boy, it's so hard here on earth. Things are so unfair. Heaven is all around you. It's everywhere. There's peace and joy everywhere. And it's just something that really resonated with me. My therapist told me that. It's a Catholic therapist. Everybody that's in my life is Catholic now. If they're not, sorry. But he quoted that phrase. He really helps me grow in my faith too. And so, life today, I'm a lector at my church. It's really fun. I just asked Father if I could do it one day. He's like, "Yeah, come on and practice, sure." And now I'm lecturing about 2 times a month. The Eucharistic minister almost at every Mass, and I visit different parishes when I go out of town. I'm more excited to go to that Catholic parish than anything else that place has to offer. I want to see what Catholic parish is there. What pilgrimage can I do this time? It's just exciting. So I'm serving at the church, and it's truly, truly changed my life. So I encourage and maybe challenge everybody here. If there's some lowliness that you're facing, some struggles that you're facing, no matter what age, I think depression can hit at any age, young, old, things like that can creep up on you. But Jesus Christ is yesterday, today, and forever. He's always, and he's never gonna let you go. He loves each and every one of us more than you could ever imagine. And I know that for a fact, that he loves me that much. So, and if he can love me, I'm pretty sure he can love all of you. He's amazing. He's saved my life. He's transformed the way I think, the way I just perceive everything. So I don't miss Mass on Sunday. That is, I don't care where I am. I don't care what I'm doing. I can't miss Mass, because that is heaven touching earth. Happens at the Mass every Sunday. It's absolutely incredible. I'm sorry, my eye is watering. I'm not crying right now. It's just a real story. So if anybody out there is silently struggling, you're not alone. There's scripture out there. There's a lot of good information on the church. There's a lot of good information on Christ and how we can learn about him and draw closer to him and bring others closer to him and do as he commanded. Love your neighbor as yourself. So with that, Jesus never stops looking for his sheep. I'm going to leave you with Psalm 27, chapter 27, verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Because perfect love casts out fear. And with Jesus by your side, nothing is impossible. Thank you so much.